I'm a slash-a-holic, addicted to the fright. Narration so hypnotic, Josh keeps me up all night.
The Halloween Massacre, an original novel by Jeremy Terry. Chapter 12. Two Drunk Men. "Oh man, you should have seen me," Rocky Rush Cleveland intoned, thrusting his beer skyward for emphasis and sloshing some onto the office's dirty floor. "I was brilliant. I was untouchable. The way I weaved between the defenders and scored that final touchdown was like poetry in motion, my man." "I know," Brad Weeder said as he scratched his thick salt and pepper beard. "I've heard all about it." He took a long swig of his own beer, belched resoundingly, and patted his large pot-belly. If Rush heard Brad's exasperated tone, he gave no indication. "That was freshman year," Rush continued, standing tall before his annoyed friend. "There's no greater time in a young man's life than freshman year at college. I was a god, dude. Men wanted to be me, and women wanted to screw me. Hell, man. Did I ever tell you about the hot professor that banged me in her office one afternoon? After football practice? I was so sweaty and smelly, and she loved it. She wouldn't let me shower, and she wanted to get dirty." "I know," said Brad. Rushed down the last of his beer and threw the bottle against the office wall, where it shattered into brown diamonds and joined the remains of countless others of its kind. Rush stumbled over to the cooler beside Brad, fished another bud from its depths, and popped the top off. He studied the fine mist that floated above the bottle's neck for a moment and then took a drink. "Everything changed after that," Rush said, anger tinging his words. "That next Friday night, we were playing the Seminoles, and I went out for a pass. I jumped and came down wrong." "Pop," said Brad. "Pop," Rush said at the same time. "There went my knee, and with it my scholarship football career, and all of my dreams. Do you know what waits for a jock who can't play ball anymore? I tell you what. A life of working from daylight until dark in the snow, blistering heat, and pounding rain. A life spent carrying a chainsaw through the woods and sawing down trees until blisters form on your hands and then burst and bleed. A worthless life where no one will remember you after you are gone. I will be forgotten." "Oh, quit your bitching," Brad spat, sitting up with some difficulty. "It's the same every Friday night. We come out here to get away from all the bitching at home, and then you get drunk and I have to put up with more bitching. So you blew out your knee and can't play football anymore. So what? Do you think that makes you different from hundreds of other college athletes? Let me tell you about real loss, my morose friend. Take a good look around you. You are standing in the husk of industry, the abandoned Castle Brothers textile mill on the banks of a river that dried up when the dam went in 2 miles north of here. Real love, real pain is fathers and mothers no longer able to feed their children because they lost their job for the sake of progress. Real pain is looking into your children's eyes when they ask for seconds because they're still hungry and there's nothing left to give them, even though you and their mother went completely without so they could have something. My father lived that hurt for 2 years. He and my mother had to go on the county just to make ends meet. Can you imagine that? Welfare. My father felt emasculated. He felt less than a man. I found out later that he even thought about ending his life." Rush swayed on his feet, unimpressed. He took another swig from his beer. "Now who is bitchin', buddy? So you and your folks had to miss out on a few bowls of soup every now and then. A freak accident cost me millions. I could have been living high on the hog. I could be living in a mansion drinking champagne. I could be farting through silk sheets with Brooke Shields asleep beside me. Instead, I get to drink this swill in this rat-infested derelict with the smelly, fat bastard whose only goal in life is to get around his next greasy cheeseburger. Brad climbed to his feet, the impact of his indignation somewhat lessened when he nearly fell flat on his face at Rush's feet. He found his balance, belched mightily in Rush's face, and gave him the finger. "You butthole, you're being a mean drunk tonight. This isn't any fun. I'm going to take a squirt and then I'm going home." Rush blushed, chagrined. He put a hand out to steady his friend. "Come on, dude, I'm sorry I'm being a dick. Tell you what, go take your piss, and I'll be a changed man when you get back. I'll think of a good joke to tell you." Brad snorted and then shrugged. "Okay, I forgive you. Now let me go before I soil my tighty-whities in front of you." Rush dropped his hand and watched as Brad stumbled into the door jamb, righted himself, and waddled out into the dark passageway outside the office. The world pitched and yawed around Brad as he peed on a column in the center of a big open space that had once been the main work area of the mill's bottom floor. He'd once been caught on a small boat in the middle of the Great Lakes when a white squall suddenly struck. It was the wildest thing he'd ever been through. One second the sky is blue and the water fine, and the next the wind howled like a banshee, throwing the waves over the edge of the small craft. He'd nearly drowned as the boat almost capsized over and over again. He felt like he was on that boat again. He leaned his head against the column as his stream intensified. It seemed he would piss forever. He lifted his leg and released a window-rattling fart and giggled like the boy he'd been 30 years before. "After the rain comes thunder," he said to the dark. He laughed harder, which forced more explosive flatulence from his bottom, which in turn made him laugh more. It seemed a vicious, self-sustaining cycle that might never end. That was until he heard the sound of glass breaking behind him. Brad turned, trying to put his still dripping member away while searching for the source of the noise. His feet tangled beneath him and he fell on his side, wetting his pants. He stared up in shock as a stranger loomed over him. The man was huge, built like a grizzly bear and dressed in a bright orange coverall that was flecked with dried blood. He wore a hideous mask on his head that looked like it had been skinned from another person's face. He waved his left hand in front of his nose and then pinched it shut with gore-encrusted fingers. He lifted the other hand and Brad saw jagged shards of glass glinting in the dark. It was a broken beer bottle, one discarded by Brad right before he unzipped his pants. "Hey, man," Brad said as he tried to stand. "Everyone breaks wind. It's not that serious." The hulking man grunted as if to say that it was serious indeed, and then he drove the broken bottle forward, burying it in Brad's throat. Blood bubbled up into Brad's mouth, came pouring from the broken bottle's neck like a fountain. Brad reached up to pull the bottle out of his neck, but the man was faster. He forced the bottle sideways, slashing the left side of Brad's neck wide open. Blood jetted from the ragged wound to strike another column 10 feet away. Darkness began to cloud Brad's vision, and he looked up into his killer's eyes. "Not cool, my man," Brad hissed. He took one final breath, vomited a gout of blood and beer onto his chest, and then he breathed no more. Too much time had passed, even for Brad, and Rush was starting to worry. He had been worse than normal tonight. He had just got caught up in the moment. He really did enjoy spending time with Brad and thought it would really suck if he had gone too far over the line and run him off for good. I know, Rush thought as he stepped over to the cooler and pulled out the last of the beers. I'll take him a peace offering. He picked up the small Coleman lantern they used to light the dark mill and stumbled out into the passage. He glanced first one way and then the other. Sure, he would see his friend coming towards him out of the shadows, but saw nothing. He listened and heard nothing bigger than a rat scurrying over the trash on business of its own. "Brad?" he called, slightly slurring his words. "Where you at, bro? Are you taking the world's biggest dump? Tell me now, because I don't want to walk in on you with your pants down. It's hard enough to get up from my wife without that image in my head." No reply came. Fear took the place of worry, and Brad slunk towards the nearest open door. Brad would have laughed had he heard and been able to respond. Something was wrong. Rush approached the door, careful to not make a sound. He paused at the edge, listening hard, and thought he heard the sound of someone breathing just outside. Yes, this person heard him speak, but didn't respond. Definitely not Brad, then. Rush set the lantern down on the dirty floor and gripped the beer bottle's neck in his right hand. He raised it over his head, took a breath to still his nerves, and then charged around the corner. The first thing he saw was the familiar shape of Brad laying a few feet away with a puddle of black blood around him. The next was a large shape, lunging at him from his left. Rush turned to counter the attack and felt all his breath leave him as a large mallet struck him squarely in the center of his chest. He flew through the air and came down on his back 10 feet away, with his head in one corner of the room. He tried to stand, to draw breath, and moaned in agony as what felt like 1,000 shards of glass stabbed his lungs. "The son of a bitch broke my ribs," he thought. "Deal with it, old hoss. You have to, or you are going to be a dead man in less than a minute. Get on your feet." He tried. Oh, how he tried. But it was not meant to be. The man in the mask was on him in an instant, swinging a large mallet down. It struck his chest again and again. Rush heard his bones crackle and pop, felt his lungs spasm. The mallet came down once more, striking the spongy mass over his heart. Rush's breath caught in his throat as his heart skipped a beat, and then another. The mallet fell again, passing through his chest into the cavity beneath and turning his heart into a bruised mush. "It wasn't supposed to end like this," he thought. "I was supposed to be somebody. I was supposed to be special." He tried to move and couldn't. It was strange. There had been so much pain to begin with, but it was fading, fast, as if he were flying away into the dark, apart from his broken body. Rush didn't fight it. He closed his eyes and let the rushing winds of fate take him to whatever waited for him on the other side. Maybe it would be nice. A place where lost dreams come true. Thinking this, he died. Jed stood over the cooling corpse, studying the face. It was a nice face, handsome. It would make a good face to replace the fake one he took from the television studio. He would have to find a good knife. He turned and looked around at the abandoned mill and smiled. It reminded him of the old slaughterhouse back in Texas where he and his family had worked. Back before the bad time. Before Pretty Sally came and changed everything. It felt like home. Jed smiled as he walked out into the hall to begin his search. Soon he would have a new face and a new place to call his own. Things would be better now. He wouldn't have to be afraid anymore. Now the people in the town would have something to be afraid of, especially if they decided to come snooping around his home. He thought he might take up decorating, like his brother Nubbins had done. Of course he wouldn't be as good as Nubbins, but he would try. After all, the mill could use some sprucing up. Yes, a couple bone wind chimes would do nicely. He could start with the 2 men. He would dress them out and store their meat for later, and then set to work. Soon enough, he would have the place looking like the old homestead in Texas. Drayton and Nubbins would be proud, he thought. Smiling again, he strode off into the depths of the no longer abandoned mill. Chapter 13. Vic's True Colors. Annie groaned on the bleacher beside Lindsay as a group of freshmen burst into laughter nearby, drawing the ire from 3 adults sitting below them. Annie shifted in her seat, trying to get comfortable, and then sighed. "This is way uncool," she said. "We've been held prisoner here for hours now. No one is telling us anything. We don't know when we will be able to leave. These bleachers are making my ass go numb, and it's too freaking loud." "Tell us how you really feel," Ed said, grinning at her over his copy of the Fellowship of the Ring. Annie bristled, her hands resting on her hips, looking more cute than intimidating in her cheerleading garb. "I'll tell you how I feel, Edward. I'm tired and I want to go home. I haven't been sleeping good at all, and I'm exhausted." "I'm sorry," Jason said. "I wish we could get out of here too, but the cops have us locked down tight. We'd be in cuffs before we made it a block down the street." "Then let's get out of the gym at least," Annie said. "We can go find a quiet classroom away from all these people." Lindsay looked around at the crowd anxious. Didn't everyone say there was safety in numbers at a time like this? "Annie," Lindsay said, putting a hand on her friend's forearm. "I don't think that's such a good idea. I think it would be better if we all stayed with the group." Annie stuck her lip out in a pout that, combined with her outfit, nearly sent Ed's and Jason into paroxysms of joy. "Oh, come on. What could possibly happen? There is an armed policeman walking up and down the hallway right outside. All we would have to do is yell, and he would be there in like 10 seconds. "I don't know," Lindsay said. "Come on, babe," Vic said, putting his arm around her to rest his hand on the side swell of her breast. "I think Annie has a great idea. A little more privacy would be nice." The touch of his hand seemed intrusive, and this disturbed her. He was her boyfriend. They liked each other, so why should this mildly intimate touch make her skin crawl? Was it the possessiveness it implied, or was it something more? Was it the way he had nagged and begged to go all the way, even though she had clearly told him she was not ready? Was it something in the way he looked at her, the frustrated anger and the hint of something darker that flashed behind his eyes? She shifted her weight to escape and glanced around at the others to gauge their reaction to Annie's suggestion. Ed's and Jason seemed to be on board with the idea. That left Tommy. She turned to look at him. He sat huddled against the gym wall a few feet away from them, staring off into the middle distance, seeing things that no one should see. He'd spilled his guts about what happened at the TV studio once he'd arrived in the care of Sally Hardesty. He detailed the blood and carnage in a monotone that belied the depths of his pain. But Lindsay hadn't been fooled, neither had Ed's. They'd each waited until his tale came to an end, and then they approached him. Tommy had just looked at them and shook his head. He had nothing else to say. "Tommy?" Lindsay called out to him. He blinked and then shifted his gaze to her. "What do you think? Do you want to go find a classroom to hang out in, away from all these people?" Tommy blinked again and seemed to come back from wherever he'd been hiding. He glanced around at the others as if surprised to find them there, and then he nodded to Lindsay. Sure," he said, getting to his feet. "I could use a little more quiet." "See?" Vic said, winking at Lindsay. "Tommy needs more quiet. Why don't we go to the home ec room near the lunchroom? There are couches for us to crash on. Annie could hit the sack and we would be much more comfortable." Annie, Vic, Lindsay, Eds, Tommy, Jason, and Lila rose as one, and they made their way through the crowd and out of the gym. No one spared them a glance. They were all too focused on their own fears or excitement to notice. Vic took the lead, turning left. They passed by gratified lockers with a faded poster hung above advertising the homecoming dance from 2 weeks before. They reached the classroom, found it unlocked, and walked inside. Vic flicked a switch on the wall, and bright fluorescent lights bloomed to life above 5 separate kitchen spaces along the wall. Desks and folding tables lined the center of the big room. They walked past these to the rear of the room where 2 couches sat facing each other outside the teacher's office. Annie opened the office door, saw another couch behind the teacher's cluttered desk, and sighed. "Y'all have fun," she said with a wave. "Wake me up when they decide to let us leave." She walked inside and shut the door. The teens chose their seats, and Jason and Lila started up a conversation. Ed sat reading beside Tommy, who had once again lapsed into silence. Lindsay started to get up and go sit beside him, but was pulled back down by Vic. "Hey, what the hell?" Lindsay hissed. Vic shrugged. "Where are you trying to go?" She looked over at Tommy and then back to Vic. "I'm really worried about Tommy. He's been through a hell of a night." "Tommy is fine," Vic said, putting his arm around her shoulder and trying to pull her onto his lap. "He would talk to us if he wanted to. Just leave him alone." She shifted away, giving him a steely look. "What's wrong with you? You're acting like all this is one big party. Do you understand that people died tonight? That Tommy saw it happen? Do you realize that people we know are probably among the victims?" Vic huffed out a breath and leaned closer to her so that he could whisper in her ear. "Come on, babe. Can't you be happy that we are all alive and safe? What's more, we are together. Why don't you relax and try to enjoy some time with your boyfriend?" "Vic, you're kidding, right?" Lindsay asked. "How can you think about that at a time like this?" "I can't help it," he said, putting his hand on her bare thigh below her skirt. "You know I have a thing for cheerleaders." "No, Vic," Lindsay said. "Stop it." She tried to push his hand away, but he fought her, pushing it further up her leg beneath her skirt. He bent his head toward her and kissed her neck. "No!" she shouted, jumping to her feet and backing away. "I said no, and I mean it." Vic stood up, reaching for her, and was stopped by Tommy, Eds, and Jason, who formed a wall between the trembling girl and him. "What the hell did you do, jerk-off?" Eds raged, his face red, his fist clenched. The fact that the larger boy could probably crush him in a single blow didn't seem to cross his mind. Eds was ready for a fight. Vic rolled his eyes. "Mind your damn business if you know what's good for you, geek. This is between me and my girlfriend, so butt out." "No, that's where you're wrong," Jason said. "It's between you and the rest of us since we're standing between you and her. What did you do?" Vic sized the running back up, and then his eyes drifted over to Tommy. Did he have his switchblade on him? This was a fight he couldn't win. He looked over their shoulders to Lindsay. "Hey babe, let's talk, okay? Look, I'm sorry." Lindsay stared at him with teary eyes for a long moment, and then she put a hand on Tommy's shoulder. "No, I don't think so. I think we're done, asshole. Annie was right. I've got better options." "Better options than me?" Vic spat, forgetting himself for a moment and taking a step forward. Jason met him and shoved him back. Vic fell backward onto the couch beside Lila, shaking with rage. He stood up, straightening his jersey, glaring at them all. "You losers aren't good enough to lick my cleats. I'm going to be in the NFL in a couple years, and you'll all still be sitting here in this podunk little town living your meaningless lives. Fuck you, and fuck that frigid bitch hiding behind you. You all are welcome to her. Take turns. I bet that would warm her right up." Ed started forward, and Jason held him back. Tommy stepped up between them, coming eye to eye with Vic. "You know what I have in my sock, don't you?" he asked the bigger boy. "I think it's time for you to leave." Vic paled at the thought of the knife. He took one more look around at all of them and then left the room. Lila stood and followed after him. Lindsay shook her head. "I thought she was after him. Why else would she hang out with us when she's barely said a word to any of us outside practice?" Her taste in men seems deficient, Eds remarked as he pushed his glasses back in place on the bridge of his nose. So is mine, Lindsay said. We'll call it a bout of temporary insanity, Ed said, but you're better now. Yeah, she said, taking a step closer to Tommy. I can't believe that prick, Jason said, pacing in front of the couch. I thought he was cool. Just wait until I tell the rest of the football team what he tried. Are you okay, Lindsay? She put her arm around Tommy's waist and nodded. Tommy's eyes went wide, and the others laughed. Okay, Slash-a-Holics, this has been chapters 12 and 13 of the Halloween Massacre by Jeremy Terry. I really enjoyed these two chapters. We got ourselves an entire Leatherface chapter with his kills, and, you know, in his little stunted mind, he thinks he's really going to set up a new home at an abandoned mill. You know, he doesn't think far enough in the future, knowing that there's like this manhunt for him. In his mind, he's just found himself another home. I thought the two original characters, the friends hanging out at the mill, that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed voicing them and reading that part of the book, and I thought the kills were really good. You know, Jedediah doesn't always use a chainsaw. You know, that hammer is a big part of his tools as well. But I'm looking forward to see what he's got planned in the future. I'm sure there's going to be a chainsaw as part of that. And I have a feeling Michael's on his way to this high school gym. You know, at the end of chapter 11, he was watching people go in there, so I can see him like maybe cutting the power and just walking in and slaughtering people. And I hope Vic is one of those people, because what an asshole. Definitely writing some good characters here, Jeremy. I'm enjoying the book so much. Yeah, the whole chapter of Jedediah was fun, and Brad and Rush, all that was great and funny. And you go from that, and then we go into this chapter with the kids at the high school, and you know, that Vic is your teenager that just only got one thing on his mind. But I like the fact that even Jason took the side of Lindsay. You know, I expected him to back Vic's play, sorry, but it didn't go that way, and I really enjoyed how that played out. And, you know, I'm rooting for these teens to live. I'm going to be kind of sad when they start dying, if they do. But yeah, this was a great 2 chapters, and I look forward to narrating more. And I will be back very soon with more. We're going to get these chapters out a lot quicker now. And I'll be back soon with more chapters of Murder Report as well. That'll be the next narration you see on the channel after this one. And as you've seen on the screen, if anybody's interested in owning an ebook, paperback, or hardcover of my 2 books that I've written so far, Friday the 13th Quarantine or A Nightmare on Elm Street Celestial Slumber, the links to Amazon to purchase the ebook, paperback, or hardcover of each book is in the description and pinned comment below. It's another way that you can support the channel and also get physical copies of the 2 books that I've written. And I am obviously still working on Friday the 13th Primal and Celestial Slumber 2. Hopefully those will both be out this year. I know that I'm very excited to bring those books to life here in audiobook form on YouTube. And there will be physical versions of those 2 books as well, paperback, hardback, and ebook. But in the meantime, if you have already purchased a copy of Celestial Slumber or Quarantine, or you plan to, let me know. If you could take a picture of it, I would love to put up like a little collage of the books that have been bought and stuff by you Slash-a-Holics. I really appreciate you because it is another way to support the channel. But also, if you would like me to personalize them or sign them or anything like that, you can reach me at larues.exe@gmail.com. That's LARUES.EXE@gmail.com. And we can work out something where you can get the book to me. I can personalize it, sign it, or whatever, and get it back to you. I don't mind doing that. It feels weird saying that because I just feel like I'm just some normal guy. But if you wanted me to do that for the book, I would be glad to do it. Also, please, if you haven't done so already, subscribe, click the like button, drop a comment. Those things really do help the channel. And if you want to do more, you can sign up at our Patreon or become a member of the channel here on YouTube. And if you want to do just like a one-time thing to support the channel, there's information in the pinned comment and the description if you wanted to do like a one-time PayPal or Cash App donation. Also, you can do a super thanks comment on these videos, or a super thanks comment during like a live premiere. If you're listening to the live premiere of this, you can do a super thanks comment right there in the chat or in the comment section of the video after it's uploaded after the premiere. And you can even order a cameo video. Lots of options to support the channel and keep it going and growing for years to come. Any of those things we would greatly appreciate, even if it's just subscribing, clicking the like button, dropping a comment, and letting people know about the channel. That's a big help as well. Alright, until next time, this has been your friendly neighborhood 80s slasher librarian saying thanks for listening, be excellent to each other, and remember, the sun never sets on those who ride into it. Thank you. I'll see you soon.
Of the night, with tales of horrific might, Josh spins his airy weave in the stories we believe. Freddy's in my dreams, Chucky's silent screams, Jason's lurking near, Michael feeds the fear. I'm a slash-a-holic, addicted to the fright. Narration so igniting, Josh keeps me up all night. Eyes and masks and pain, blood runs like the rain. Evil finds its way in the spine-chilling fray. Out of breath but not out of light. Horror digs, don't look behind. Feel the terror crave. Will you dare to slay? I'm a slash-a-holic, addicted to the fright. Narration so hypnotic, Josh keeps me up all night. I'm a slash-a-holic, addicted to the fright. Narration so hypnotic, Josh keeps